So my name is Abby, and to introduce myself and my fellow panelists, we're a group of students all studying at UCL, and we're representing the Global Diaspora Confederation. And I think I can speak for my whole team when I say that we're all very pleased to be joining you all today and grateful to be part of a celebration like this that's bringing together so many different communities under one umbrella. And today we're going to be presenting findings from the last few months of our research into young people's engagement with diaspora organizations. So firstly, just to introduce our aims, the five of us have elected to take on this project because it aligned with both the interests we've followed in our own personal research and our experiences, all of us as global citizens. We felt that this research was important as engagement of young diasporic individuals with their communities is crucial in maintaining cultural ties and providing the social and material support necessary for the unique experiences which accompany being part of a diaspora. Our aim was to look at issues diaspora organizations face, such as finding ways to bridge the gap between older and younger generations. We aim to do this through establishing which themes are more likely to engage younger generations, which strategies are successful in doing so, and finding forums that can facilitate intergenerational communication. We hope that our findings will help to facilitate both the recruitment of younger members and the succession of leadership between generations to ensure the continued success of diaspora organizations.
So just a little bit about our research methodology. So it's broadly taken two strands. So we started by conducting a scoping literature review on the topic of succession, which was given to us in Peter's brief. So we used academic literature and reports from similar organizations and started by defining the generations that we're discussing, so first, second, and third. And this was really important to us to understand how the generations are tied to their home country and host countries in different ways, and therefore have different perceptions of the most pertinent issues that they face and different ways of mobilizing. And whilst we were looking mainly for differences between the generations, we also thought it was important to identify continuities, because these would be key for envisaging ways of emphasizing similarities to bridge the generations. After that, we did some primary research into 15 existing UK-based diaspora organizations and used them as case studies to uncover some strategies used by DOs currently to engage the youth. So we found the most common themes they focused on strategies of mobilization and tried to correlate this with how successful their youth engagement is. And something we really wanted to focus on especially was their websites and social media accounts, as this is particularly important for engaging younger people. So this was all done in view of identifying effective pre-existing strategies used by diaspora organizations to overcome the issue of succession, but also coming up with novel strategies that we haven't seen before that we as youth believe will work.
So as Selma mentioned, we looked at diaspora organization websites and their social media accounts to identify what kind of themes they focus on and which ones are the most relevant and important for young people. So firstly, their societal participation, which includes issues such as political engagement and mobilization, volunteering, and raising awareness of diasporic issues in society. Education and employment is also a common and important theme, including things such as amplifying young people's voices and careers guidance. Then there are themes of preserving diasporic culture and identity and ensuring a diaspora network. For young people, this might mean intergenerational discussion, education of cultural traditions, and also providing a bridge between communities. And in the next slide, we will look at the potential strategies to achieve this. Other themes like legal and social aid, on the previous slide still, other themes like legal and social aid and health and well-being are also important. Young diaspora really benefit from DOs which focus on legal services, support for housing and employment benefits, as well as ensuring they're able to get the healthcare that they need. And many organizations also placed an explicit emphasis on women's empowerment, whether that be encouraging women in leadership and politics or raising awareness about violence and discrimination against women and girls. So based on these themes, here we have highlighted some strategies for engaging younger generations. We've sectioned these into four main categories. Firstly, giving a platform to young people, collaborating with other young people's groups, intergenerational classes, and community events. We believe that the strategies that will prove most successful are those that give diaspora a space and a voice in the organization, such as through a youth council. Young people can also take the lead in creating and promoting events that they are interested in, and they can use social media to better advertise these events to other young people. Diaspora organizations could also reach out to other young people's groups like university societies or music collectives so they can share their work. Furthermore, younger generations' digital literacy can be leveraged to teach older generations how to use social media or online tools. This can narrow the online gap between generations as much as the offline one. And at the same time, older generations can also lead cultural classes and they can share their wide range of expertise. And events that bring together the cultural heritage of organizations as well as the interests of young people. These are what is going to be a successful strategy to bridge the gap between the generations. This will also be strengthened with the participation and leadership of the younger generation members in community events that they are interested in, and they can take on new directions for the diaspora organization.
Hi, so moving on to the implications of our research, we've grouped the best improvements we think can be made to diaspora organizations' kind of youth engagement into 4 major categories. The first one is to adopt a community-oriented approach. And this might sound obvious, but as important as it is to focus on issues in diaspora's home countries, there's also a lot of power within the local community. And with regards to youth engagement, this can look like collaboration at the local level, collaborating with local community organizations that already have high rates of youth diaspora engagement. Some key examples are African Caribbean Society at universities or other cultural organizations, the BBC Radio Asian Network, which I heard listening to the BBC Radio the other day. These are important opportunities for collaboration within the local sphere that can really serve as a strong way to highlight talent and improve youth engagement and strengthen intergenerational cultural ties within diaspora organizations. And I think that also ties in very well with festivals, which I heard as one of the global activities, which is really aimed at kind of showcasing diaspora's creativity. And I think there's a powerful relationship that can be made there. Online, approaching social media with the intent to build community, not just report facts and report what your organizations are doing within your diaspora communities, is an important way to kind of connect with the younger generation. Using polls, using different methods to kind of improve engagement, speaking in the first person, not necessarily speaking as the representative of an organization, because online, people are really looking for those interpersonal communications, not just to feel like they're talking to a brick wall or an organization, so to speak. The second point on transparency, which is kind of linked, transparency and feedback. One issue we found when embarking on the research was that there wasn't a lot of independent feedback or research from diaspora organizations themselves into the reasons that they suspect for their low youth engagement. We really encourage diaspora organizations to seek out this feedback from their own members using questionnaires with incentives, anonymized responses, things like that can encourage participation and incentivize getting this really important feedback back from diaspora organizations members so that we can diagnose these issues and see where the issues are so that we can properly fix them. And with regards to just on the transparency point, moving away from this sense of hierarchy, which is often found within our diasporic communities, towards a sense of transparency. The last speaker suggested youth councils as a way to improve youth representation within diaspora organizations. Along with that, allowing the youth council to operate independently from the executive branch of the diaspora organization is a really good way to improve transparency and allow the youth to feel empowered by the diaspora organizations and improve communications. On the third point, digital spaces, we really think that a way to improve youth engagement and an effective way to reach as many people as possible, and not just the youth, in fact, are by utilizing digital spaces effectively. TikTok, Instagram, etc. You've heard all these names before, and they have immense reach potential. Not all of the content you do has to necessarily be about, not all of the content you make has to necessarily be about the work that you do. It can just be showcasing the daily lives of people within your diaspora, or just funny things here and there that will allow people to discover you and then get further involved if they wish to. The last point is on intersectionality. And we believe that as diaspora leaders, diaspora organization leaders, you have a responsibility to all the members of your diaspora organizations. all the members, which includes spanning across various identities and a range of categories. Second and third generation immigrants, for instance, have very different senses of identity from their parents and first generation immigrants. And they deal with a lot of different issues on the basis of those identities, and having an awareness of those identities and those issues is an important part of being a leader. So it means listening, learning, and learning about experiences which may not be familiar to you. Simply acknowledging the broadening spectrum of identities within diasporas, we think, is an important way to improve intergenerational relations. So thank you very much for listening. We hope that this has been helpful for you, and we look forward to the rest of the work that you do. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think it's timely for a round of applause. I mean, I was just sitting there and trying to take down some notes and moving away from my script, to be honest, in terms of the download that has been given to us by the Young Diaspora group that we have here, the representatives, Ike, Sophie, Abby, and Selma. Thank you very much. Indeed, we can see that the future is truly in good hands. And as you can see, as I was seeing also from the chat, that it is on fire in terms of how we find the content refreshing, how we find it energizing, but at the same time, that very rich presentation that comes from your space. I particularly like the parts where we're talking about, moving from hierarchy to transparency. Isn't that a difficult one sometimes among old folks like myself? So I'm revealing a bit of what my age is and still trying to remain relevant and young. But I think also in talking about what that separate space means in terms of empowerment, and that mixing of not just the use of technology, but really aiming for that effective use, as well as having a very deeper understanding of what it means to be a young diaspora. And thank you very much.